My guest is Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson. The book is called The Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. One more time, his website, rebuildingtheman.com. You can email Jesse Lee at bond, as in James Bond, at bondinfo.org. Reverend, when I've talked about the absence of black fathers, right now over 70% of black kids are born outside of wedlock. That number was 25% back in 1965. And at one time, 1890, 1900, 1910, circa, a black child was slightly more likely to be born to a nuclear intact family than a white child based upon census reports. When I talk about this, the pushback is, well, black fathers, though, are involved. They pick up their kids on the weekends and take them to Disneyland and give them cotton candy. So to act like the absence of black fathers is just not fair. You have a chapter called The Absent Black Father Myth in which you address this pushback. Talk to us about that.
Well, the reason they are doing that because they don't want black Americans to come to order. They want them confused. They want them angry. They want them feeling like victims. They want them blaming because if you notice, there is no real urgency to rebuild the black family. Barack Obama had the best opportunity to that anyone has had as president to rebuild the family. He made no serious attempt to do that at all. And now they're just trying to lie and pretend that black men are involved and black men are doing this. It's absolutely not true, Larry. And just before the break, you mentioned how the Democrats use certain words like Jim Crow and whatever words they use. Those are coded words that when angry black people hear those words, they automatically go into a hypnotic trance. And they overreact, and they follow these people wherever they want them to go. If you notice this election, the Democrats are now courting the black voters, and they are talking about education. But if you notice, Larry, they're not offering them the voucher, where school vouchers, where these parents can take their kids out of these bad schools and put them wherever they want to. They are not really offering black people an opportunity to get better, and the blacks are not requiring that either because they're letting their race hustlers represent them, and those folks are not on their side. These black fathers are not involved with their children. Some are trying to do it, but most are not. One quick story, Larry. I spoke at a prison, a jail in Flint, Michigan, and it was to a group of about 30 to 40 blacks and Hispanics. They were big guys with tattoos. And we had this conversation that you and I have had for the last 45 minutes about the family life and about where that anger started. And at the end of that meeting, those guys were in tears. They had talked about what it was like growing up without their fathers, how their mothers were impatient with them, and they began to get mad at her, and they started joining gangs and things like that because they wanted a family. And no one had ever told them that the solution to the problem is that you have to forgive your parents. Some parents are doing the best that they can do, but they make mistakes. It's hard on a mother to raise children by herself. And had they known that that was the key to freedom, is to forgive, they would have done it. But the preachers are not telling them, the black politicians and the liberal Democrats are not telling them because they do not want these people free.
And Jesse Lee, the reason it's gotten worse is because of the welfare state. What we've done is we've incentivized women to marry the government, and we've allowed men, as I often say, to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. And Jesse Lee, on one level, Obama understands this intellectually because he has said, and this is a verbatim quote, if you are raised without a father, you're 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crimes, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, 20 times more likely to end up in jail, close quote. And yet you look at his policies, and it's as if he never said it.
I know. And they, if you notice, too, Larry, they all know exactly what they're doing. For an example, Barack Obama is married, so his 2 daughters have a father and mother in the home. They are getting a good education. They're going to do fine in life. Jesse Jackson is married, even though he cheated, but he's still married. Mm-hmm. His children got a good education. They got some of the best jobs that you could get in this country. They know the remedy, but they're not offering what they have to the rest of the folks. And the folks are so angry that they can't see what's really going on, because when you're angry, it's hard to believe the truth. It's easier to believe a lie when you're angry. That's why you have to turn away from anger so you can see the truth.
Jesse Lee, I would add Spike Lee. Spike Lee, of course, is one of the guys leading this Oscars So White movement, where he's criticizing the Oscars for not nominating enough black nominees. Never mind, in the last 15 years, about 10% of the nominees have gone to black people. The last 2 years have been an aberration. This is a guy who's married to a corporate lawyer. He's got his mansion in Harlem up for sale for $32.5 million. His kids go to private schools. He's got courtside seats at the Lakers, at the Knicks games, and here he is bitching, moaning, and whining about racism in America. It's a joke.
Yeah, it just, again, it's to manipulate white people so that they can intimidate them to get what they want, and they're using black people for themselves. It's so unfortunate, but I do have to tell you this. I'm so grateful that there are men like you who've been on the radio for years and been out there speaking, writing about this, because now, as I travel through the inner cities around the country, I'm starting to see a little light come on in some of these people. They have heard the truth and heard it, and some of them are starting to take a second look, and they're starting to really turn away from these folks. And that's why I love the truth with all my heart, soul, and might, because when you love the truth, eventually the truth will defeat the lie. And so, I know you have gone through a lot and name-calling and threats, but you got to hang in there because it is starting to pay off.
Malcolm X said, "I'm for the truth, no matter who's telling it." I was on CNN a little while ago, and I reminded CNN of their own Time CNN poll of 1997, in which young black teenagers were asked the following question: do you believe racism is a major problem in America? And not too surprisingly, because of the brainwashing, the majority of them said yes. But then they were asked this question, Jesse Lee: is racism a major problem, a minor problem, or no problem in your own daily lives? 89% said minor or no problem in their own daily lives.
Yes. You're saying that today, Larry.
Jesse Lee, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, talk a little bit more. Don't leave town. 888-971-SAGE. We're going to talk about the antidote. What do we do about all of this when I come back? Reverend Jesse Lee, and the book is called The Antidote. And this is Larry Elder, where we do not, under any circumstances, back down. And my guest, Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, certainly does not back down. We're already getting requests to replay the show for people who are just coming in late. And I promise we'll replay it pretty soon. I'm going to be taking off a couple of days before I start my national syndication, so we'll replay it very soon. Jesse Lee, my mother used to say, the truth will not set you free if delivered without hope. Yeah. So what do we do about all of this?
Well, first I want to tell you, congratulations on your national syndicated radio show. I sent you a note. I believe you got it.
I did get it, yes.
I really wish you well with that. And also I want to say that Obama and Jesse Jackson are angry and deceptive. And physically they are doing well, but spiritually they are not, because they were misled while growing up. And so until they overcome that, they are not going to really become good examples for the rest of the folks, blacks or whites. Larry, I started a online TV show called The Fallen State, and it's on thefallenstate.tv. I interview Black Lives Matter, members of the Black Lives Matter folks, and there was a young girl on the panel who had not heard a different opinion about life. And as I was trying to dialogue with her, one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement started yelling and screaming, and she demanded that young girl step off the stage and leave. So they walked away from the interview. And the reason I bring that up, because the solution is for each individual adult individual, because as adult we're responsible for ourselves. We really have to go within and take a look at ourselves. The only way that I was able to overcome the anger is that I finally started looking at myself, asking God to let me see what was wrong, and he allowed me to see. But as long as your focus is on the outside, as long as you're holding on to that anger and you're blaming and feeling like a victim, you're never going to get better. The kingdom of heaven is inside of us. Everything that we're looking for is on the inside. And you can only get into that by looking at yourself and dropping all of your anger. Now, when they get to the chapter on the antidote, it's going to show them real simply how to do it, what the problem is, and how to overcome that anger. And once they do that, Larry, they're going to have the best life. I have a life that I never imagined was even possible. And I used to be a Democrat, but God forgave me when he took away my anger.
The book is called The Antidote. My guest, Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, is the author. The subtitle is Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. Again, his website, rebuildingtheman.com. You can email Jesse Lee at bond, like James Bond, bond@info.org. Reverend Jesse, God bless.
Thank you, Larry. Thanks for a great conversation. I enjoyed that.
You got it.